タジオファンク。
Yeah, so that was some great tracks there from the Boogie for Life EP, which was released early this year on Star Creature Records. Every time I listen to these tracks, I can hear the different layers. It's like a fresh listen every single time. And I really appreciate that, because also it does show how much attention to detail that you put within your craft. And I can imagine these studio sessions, like I mentioned before, these things don't happen overnight. And I totally respect that you spend a lot of time like crafting and coming up with these concepts.
Yeah, some happen sooner than others. I might have one tune that I'm really trying to be experimental with, as far as taking the different limitations to only having two hands. Like, I'd love to fantasize about having four hands. What can you do with two hands? Well, in the synth world, which I came up in pretty strong, I was a real synth geek for the last 10 years or so. You notice that you can play the bass along with the chords. And you're about to go over to your homie's house, and he's about to play bass, and you say, you know what? I'm going to cancel. I got my left hand. So you're just there, and you get another keyboard, and now you've got the band. You might call up a drummer or somebody to play the pad drums, and you can literally play the bass with your left hand and play the chords with the right. And when you realize that process as a keyboardist, it really is revolutionary, and it just kind of opens up the whole process for you, because you're not really making a layer that's supposed to stand on its own. It's really a layer that's supporting another part. I might find myself, if I'm really just going to make a bass line over a nice groove, it might be way too complicated. So then what can you do the only thing you can do with a complicated bass line is put just a few chords over it so that the bass line stands out. What I really want is the bass and the keys to play together in a way that creates something new as they are cohesive together. So that comes from the discipline of really trying to play two different parts of the sound at the same time, whether it's the bass and the keys. I'll usually start that way, or it's in the sense of the drums, I really can't be bothered too much with just a few samples. I've really got to come into the studio after I maybe chief up a little bit. I've got to have on my pads, I've got to have the toms, I've got to have the snares, I've got to have the kick drum, I've got to have a bunch of hi-hats open and close and crashes, and the whole wealth of sounds in a drum rapport of your classic drum sounds. And that's really going to be able to make me be fluid in the moment, where I can throw in some tom rolls, I can hit a crash. I'm just not gonna have the patience for one looping drum line. Little things like that are really gonna keep your production process fluid, I guess.
Yeah, that's some really great insight right there. Definitely some information that made me feel like I was a fly on the wall just watching your production process, because I guess for myself as a listener, like, it's quite easy just to not to, you can't imagine sometimes how it's made, or you're trying to vision it.
Yeah, it's funny. I get hit up all the time by folks. They're like, "Who's the drummer on that?" And I laugh, because it's just my fingers. But I've been spending about 10 years learning to play the drums on the pads in a way that's really, really satisfying to my senses. And I can just have a great time on it and replicate what a drummer does.
Wow.
Manage to get a lot of collab work that way, because being a keyboardist and sometimes being a singer, there's a lot of pressure. But when you're just playing the drums and you're just offering that backbone, the pressure is gone and you're just having a really great time. But at the same time, I might go, if I've done a lot of work on the keys and the bass, I might just go into the studio and play drums on all my songs in one day, just like if I hired myself as a studio drummer. So I get all the tracks prepped, and then I'm just going to blast through each one of them, and that's going to warm me up, and I'm just going to hit all of them in one day, just like throw them at me. And I'm not going to, and in that process, I really get like, something that's akin to some of the better, that classic live funk drum sound that I really can't get enough of. Sometimes I'll even go as far as to put in like a drummer's name, like a fake drummer's name on SoundCloud. Say, drums by Rufus Pendergrass.
No way.
And just to create a little bit of a kind of a playful notion of having different make-believe players.
That's sick, man. That's sick. That's sick. I can imagine over time you're just gonna have this whole band set up, and you can imagine like your next gig you may do like next year and stuff. You're gonna be like, it's gonna be E-Live featuring the band, and everyone's gonna go to the gig and they'll be like, hold on a second, where's the band?
Yeah, that's an interesting subject. Performing next in the new season, it's gonna have to start. I think I'm never one that really has that much patience. So if you're following the scenes that I like, you're gonna find me trying to put it up onto live stream. You're gonna find me trying to work with what I have.
Yeah, and
that's really gonna be representative of next year. It's gonna be something where I woodshedded from now until then, and whether it's being on stage, but then being on live stream, or just strange expressions of our experience. Who knows? Maybe we'll have glass in between us, or maybe it'll just be, definitely no masks.
Yeah. I think there's a weird thing where
I'm hoping, anyways.
Yeah. I'm hoping too.
The band will be called The Vaccine. Yeah.
The Vaccine Tour 2021.
Vaccination.
You've heard it first here. The Vaccination Tour. But I think there will be a blessing though, that if you do have to do streaming and stuff like that, it also gives people like myself the opportunity to see it, because I'm obviously in the UK, and at the moment I don't even know when the next time I could probably fly out to the States, but at least if you were to do some stuff on the streams, man, I'll be there in queue, man. I'll be there waiting to watch it live. That'd be sick.
Awesome, dude. That'd be great to finally meet you, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. I was just thinking about like some of your collabs that, you've worked with many artists, and a lot of various different styles of artists, vocalists, other musicians as well. And I wanted to talk about some of the recent ones that you worked with, because I know recently Star Creature just pushed out a compilation, and you did a great remix on that project.
Yeah, that singer Amalia, who she just recently moved to Montreal, and she's just a new friend, and that's just some of the great perks of just sharing your music and getting it out there and having different friends share it. Because Tim Zawada noticed this the original that she did, and he sent me the lyrics, and he kind of masterminded saying, hey, why don't you try another approach, and that's the kind of thing that really keeps me motivated, is when people know that I'm accessible and that they share different content with me and see what might happen. And in this case, just a really great little mid-tempo kind of, I almost want to call it R&B modern funk tune came about on some of the releases I'm working on now. There is some modern funk sound, but there's a lot of kind of classic boogie sound, and there's a lot of classic disco sound, and some of that, like I said, understated Bob James sound. I don't have some just maybe one like straight modern funk jammer, and it's nice to hear that come through in something like that. It's nice to have a little track on the side that I can say, hey, look, like that sounds like modern funk.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we're getting to that now, because this track is fire. The original mix of the track is great as well. I do own that 45, and I'm also now a proud owner of the compilation as well. So yeah, let's get into that right now. Let's get into that remix.